If you're tired of getting beat up in a new endgame mode, this guide is for you. Today we're gonna have a detailed look into all three bosses, how they work, rotation examples, and easy to follow strategies for your teams. I will guide you through every fight, explaining how I cleared level 5 fearless. If this video is helpful to you, please leave a like and subscribe. Let's begin with the Lava Dragon, because I think he's the most interesting one. He'll start the fight in his rock form, in which he has crazy high resistance against everything. Under his health bar there's this little icon which you can fill up by applying pyro. If you manage to fill it up, he will transform in his Lava Dragon form, where his resistance is a little bit lowered. You want to fill the pyro bar up again, which makes him break down. This is when you cause the big damage. The best team by far is Kenichi Burning, together with Emily and Mavuika. If you don't have these units, Overload is fine too. You can do Varessa or Chlorine Overload. With an FTP Raiden, it's gonna be harder. Without Constellations or Signature, Raiden's damage output might just be too low for you. Another working team is Kaching. Depending on your builds, with Fischl and Nahida, she can work quite well. Zhangling and Bennett also are very helpful for pyro application. I decided to go with Arlecchino Overload. Chevreuse is the best support for Overload, but you might have to change his stats for this fight. Usually it's recommended to have her at 40k HP for max damage buff, but I decided to focus on her energy recharge. This will allow her to burst more often and apply more pyro. A very important point to mention is that Chevy gets a lot better with Constellations. For this fight I specifically recommend her C4 because she will gain the ability to use her skill 3 times after her burst. That's triple the pyro application you'd have without it, but you can still use her C0. Also, I had her on Black Tassel, but changed it to the Favonius Lance for the extra particles. The last slot might be surprising, but it's the Pyro Traveler. I've tried this fight with different Zhangling and Bennett teams, but the Traveler's pyro application is extremely valuable to time the dragon's faces correctly. You don't have to build damage, just focus on ER. I chose the Sacrificial Sword for this fight because it lets us use our skill twice. The best tip I can give you is to divide this fight with timestamps to see where you're too slow. I recommend the following. At the 1 minute 40 seconds mark, you want to trigger his second phase. At around 1 minute and 10 to 20 seconds, trigger his breakdown. If you do this, he'll recover at around the 1 minute mark, splitting the fight evenly into 2 parts, and you do the rotation again. This allows you to locate your problems, in which phase you're too slow or if your damage output isn't high enough. Now let's get into the fight. We'll start with Arla's skill. Never absorb her mark immediately, wait for it to glow. Skill with all other units. Normal attacks with Arlecchino until her bond of life runs out. We're applying pyro with every hit. By the end of her attacks, Chevy's burst will be up. Remember, always burst first, then use her skill. Traveler's burst is also up, skill twice, and Fischl for the overload reaction. Arla is ready to fight again. And thanks to the energy recharge, Chevy can do her burst once more. That's already enough for him to break down. Now we can cause big damage. Make sure to have Fischl's ass on the field to proc overload. It's half time and we're basically doing the same we did before. Restarting the rotation again with Arla, skill with everyone. Make sure Ars is on the field so that we can proc overload and generate energy. And we want to keep to the same timestamps as in the first round, like at 40 seconds we want to trigger his second phase, we want to trigger his Lava Dragon form. Do the usual rotation, apply pyro, burst with Chevy, burst with Traveler, going in with Arla, and in 20 seconds he is almost down, doing Arla's skill and Fischl, finishing him with Chevy, and then finishing him off with Arla. And there you go. Next up is the Natlan Dishwasher Deluxe. This boss is honestly very simple. Just apply cryo. He starts the fight with a bit resistance, but if you apply enough cryo, which you can see on his little icon, then you'll stun him. There's nothing more to it. While I've seen some runs where people use Mavuika Melt for example, and in theory you can use any DPS with cryo supports, I really recommend going with a cryo DPS. If you have Skirk, this fight is a walk in the park. I decided to show the fight with Ayaka in case you don't have Skirk. Risley of course can do the job too. Build Ayaka, Farina and Escoffier as normal. If you don't have coffee, you can use other cryo units, but it'll be much harder. Her Red Shred, consistent cryo application and synergy with Farina through her healing is incredibly valuable. While the 4th slot is flexible, you can go with any Hydro or cryo unit like Shenna or Xingqiu. I highly recommend Rosaria. The biggest obstacle in this fight will be Ayaka's energy requirement. Rosaria is a very good choice because her skill has a short cooldown, her energy requirement is low, she generates cryoparticles for Ayaka, and you can put her on the Favonius lands. This team worked way better for me than for example with Yelan, even though Yelan is a good sub DPS. The key to winning this fight is your energy management. You want to do a full burst rotation every 20 seconds, so the timestamps you follow are these. Ayaka is a very good main DPS choice because her burst does very high damage and gets even more buffed through Farina. Usually the problem with Ayaka is that the enemy is moving around, but the automaton is stationary for most of the fight, so we can make use of 100% of a burst. Your rotation should always be Farina's burst, then Escoffier burst to heal and increase Farina's damage boost, and then at the end Ayaka's burst. Rosaria is flexible and a great tool to build energy. Now let's get into the fight. Starting with Rosaria's skill and immediately switching to Ayaka for the particles. Skill and a charge attack to absorb the particles. Now we're just going through skills to gather energy. And we're already up. That's the first burst rotation. And we'll do this the entire fight. You want your bursts up every 20 seconds. You maybe have to get a feeling for the different skill cooldowns to get into the flow. As I said, Rosaria is very helpful thanks to a short skill cooldown. If you don't know what to do, just check Rosaria. There's really not much else to this boss. It's more a DPS check than he is complicated. It basically is Hoyo asking you, did you pull for Skirk or not? It's really that simple. Just have a look at your energy, especially for Ayaka. Get a feeling who's ready to burst, who's ready to skill. And the automaton itself isn't really that much of a threat. It's just standing there menacingly. 40 seconds. Our 4th burst. We'll try to stick to the timestamps. And 20 seconds the last one. And that's pretty much it. As I said, Farina and Escoffier are both very helpful because they're very good sub DPSs. And that's how you do it. The next boss is the Hydro Tulpa. You have to look out for two things. At around the 1 minute and 10 second mark, the Tulpa will create a shield. If you don't manage to destroy it in time, it will one-shot you, but there's a trick to do it with jungling. The second thing you need to look out for are its little amigos that it summons every once in a while. If it absorbs them, it will heal itself, so you have to destroy them. Two characters that are very good in dealing with them passively are Sitlali and Nahida. Sitlali can create a cry aura around her, which one-shots the mini Tulpas if you get near them. Nahida's skill connects all Tulpas, causing the little ones to receive damage when you hit the main one. Because the Tulpa has permanent Hydro Aura, your best choice would be a Pyro Vape DPS like Arlecchino, Hu Tao or Mavuika. But if you don't have them, or use them for another boss, Jungling and Bennett are very good alternatives. I recommend Jungling in particular because if you time a burst correctly, then you have two Pyronados at once, making the Tulpa's shield easy to break. You can also decide to go with a Hyperbloom team consisting of, for example, Alhaitham, Nahida, Cookie, Fischl, EM Raiden and so on, but they didn't do the job for me. I decided to go with Skirk. Her teammates are Sitlali for the Cinder City buff and dealing with the mini Tulpas, Jungling for a double Pyronado, and Bennett Because he's broken. The only timestamp I want to give you for this fight is the 1 minute and 20-second mark. That's the time you want to do the first burst with Xiangling. The Tulpa will create its shield shortly after, filling up your team energy and allowing Xiangling to burst a second time and breaking down the shield easily. Don't use Xiangling's burst before the 1 minute and 20-second mark. We're starting with Sitlali to get a bit of energy for Xiangling. Bennett's Girl, and switch to Skirk to cause some damage. Skill, burst, normal attacks. That's all there is to it. Even though Skirk's damage output will be a bit lower with 2 pyro units in the team, you can still proc Void Rifts because of Sitlali and the Tulpa's Hydro Aura. Xiangling's burst is up. As I said, don't use it too early. Back to Skirk, doing damage. We are approaching the 1 minute and 20-second mark. Time for the first Pyronado. The Tulpa summons its shield, our energy is up again, and we can get the second Pyronado. Look how the shield melts. We are at half time and the Tulpa is around 50% health. Simple rotation, and back to Skirk for damage. If you go in with another DPS, the strategy still applies the same way. The Tulpa isn't that complicated. It just has a lot of HP. That's pretty much the whole boss explained. We'll do the same thing as we did in the first round. Keep an eye on his little buddies, so that he doesn't absorb them. Other than that, keep the rotation, Pyronado with Xiangling to vape, and doing the damage with your main DPS. That's basically it. And there you go.
刀は技を支え、匠は